And we'll begin with an experience this morning. So let's all settle in, find a comfortable way to sit. As one of my teachers, La Sarmiento, likes to say, finding a posture that your body appreciates. And as we settle in, taking a couple of deep breaths and allowing our attention to go to this very natural act of breathing that we have. This very basic aspect of being alive. Holding our attention there. And softening. Allowing ourselves to soften around the eyes, allowing our jaw muscles to soften, and dropping our shoulders just a bit. Directing our attention to our breathing, noticing where your breathing shows up in your body, and directing your attention to that physical manifestation of breathing. And now, in sharp contrast to the ease of breathing, recalling a recent experience that was difficult, that was unpleasant for you. Not too awful, but distinctly unpleasant. Recalling the specifics of the experience, who was present, what was happening, what was being said. And noticing what thoughts are arising. What emotions are present. And especially noticing how this unpleasant experience feels in your body. Noticing if there's some spaces, some specific areas in your body that are feeling constricted. No resistance, no wanting it to be otherwise. Simply being with the experience of feeling constricted for another few moments. Knowing what constrictedness feels like in your body. And letting go of that experience. And I'll now lead us through this awareness exercise in which we keep expanding our awareness and creating a greater sense of space. So initially bringing your awareness to the surface you're sitting on. Noticing the connection between yourself and this surface. And now expanding that awareness on the next in-breath to a little more space in the room you're in. Not too far out, one step at a time. With each in-breath, expanding that awareness, eventually going to the whole room you're in. Perhaps this is contributing to letting go of the constricted experience as you feel a greater and greater space. And with each in-breath, continuing to expand your awareness beyond the room you're in, to the entire building you're in. Beyond the building to the neighborhood. To the greater community you live in. Eventually expanding your awareness to being out in space and looking back and seeing the earth. Bringing to mind an image of North America and locating on this image of North America where you are at this moment within the context of the entire earth with space itself. And noticing now what space enables. Perhaps a sense of wholeness, of fullness. Perhaps greater access to the 5 characteristics of enoughness: awareness, self-regulation, learning, approaching, avoiding. Maybe you feel a greater sense of resilience. And with this expanded awareness often comes increased consciousness, an increased sense of belonging, of oneness and inclusiveness. Of allowing and accepting everything just as it is. In this moment, I can be okay. And now back to your breath for a few beats. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to our Zoom experience. And continuing to have this sense of space, of spaciousness, knowing what this feels like. Knowing that being in a spacious place is accessible to you. And inquiring of yourself, how might my experience of life be different with more space? Of living from a place of spaciousness as opposed to constrictedness. How might the experiences of people I interact with regularly be different when I'm showing up in a place of spaciousness? Perhaps even considering space as a personal path forward, as supporting your own evolving, your own connecting more deeply with your true nature. Perhaps greater spaciousness among all of us might be a socio-cultural path forward. Being in a spacious place allows me to think about the entire universe, to think about all life on this planet, and to realize that all of the universe and beyond is connected. It all came from the same place. That all of life on this planet is connected. So there's a sense of unity in this connectedness. And simultaneously, there's this enormous diversity. None of us is exactly the same person. We look at all the different planets and stars and comets and asteroids. Look at all of the different forms of life, whether it's a single-cell amoeba or Homo sapiens sapiens and everything in between. And simultaneously, with enough space, we can have this sense of unity and diversity. It's always been this way. It's never been any other way. This isn't something new that's happened in the 21st century. It's been this way since the beginning. And this brings to mind this word we worked with a few weeks ago, accompanying. By holding a mirror for you to show you your value. My bearing witness to your suffering and to your light. And you're doing the same for me. And in that relationship lies the promise of shared human dignity and mutual encouragement to do the hard things. From a place of spaciousness, I find that I'm able to be fully alive, fully present. And you might recall the word or phrase that you came up with to describe this experience for yourself. Sometimes it's freedom, enlightenment, liberation, release, or some other word or phrase. Recalling your specific phrase and resting with that. With a sense of spaciousness in our lives, there's the opportunity to see clearly, to see the reality of the 3 Ps and the 4 Cs, to have access to our 5 characteristics of enoughness. And when we see these realities that include this idea of unity and diversity, we discover that the only plausible way to be is to act with kindness, to bring a sense of care and consideration and thoughtfulness to how we show up. So here's the reflection question for this morning. What does space mean to you? What role might spaciousness play in the future for you?